Welcome to the Don't Die Rusty podcast. I'm Rick Hanson, and we will be talking about living, not dying. We're all on this adventure together, and we will be interviewing people who inspire us to live our best lives. People with various backgrounds who will walk us down the trails they took to not die rusty. Adventure in life are many things to many people. It could be a sprint or an endurance race, but with each adventure, we become a better version of us. We hope you keep chasing those dreams, being the best you, and of course, don't die rusty. Hello, Don't Die Rusty Nation. This week you have me because I don't have any guests this week, but I will next week. But this week I'm going to talk about changes, maybe being authentic. I just got done climbing Crow Peak, and to preface this, I had a wonderful weekend in the middle of the Black Hills, and I went to my uncle's cabin, and I started looking around at inside the cabin, and then we drove around a little bit. I was with some really good people, and I started looking around. I looked around the cabin. I looked around where we drove around because we were looking for animals, and we were hiking and doing other things. So it was a wonderful weekend. But I was I you look at the places that you've been, and it's funny because I remember the meadows that didn't have the no trespassing signs that weren't possibly ever going to be developed. And I looked, and then because that's one thing that bothers me is the fences, the no trespassing signs. It's like, all right, you have your land, and I have no problem with private property. I really don't. My problem is all the no trespassing. All we worry about mines in the Black Hills, but we don't worry about the development taking up the spaces for where these wild animals used to live, the wildflowers, the beauty in itself. But I mean, we were talking as we were driving down the road, and I said, if I won lottery, I would. Some of these places that we were looking at, I said, I would go find the owner or the developers or whoever this is, pay cash, and let everybody enjoy it and use it and look at it. I'm not saying you have to drive around on it. I'm saying just be able to walk on it. Because Lord knows there's enough roads in the Black Hills of South Dakota that from UTVers, and it's just amazing. All the places that have changed. But that was a big one because I love seeing the cows in the meadows. I love seeing wild animals in the meadows. I love seeing the wildflowers and beauty without the without the development. But that's another something for another time. And also, when I was in the cabin, I saw things that I've been coming out to this cabin. I call it my uncle's cabin. It'll always be my Uncle Buster's cabin because it's just the way it is. And he's been gone for a long amount of time. But it's a place that I've always probably felt the most at peace in the stories that are in that cabin. I wish I wish people would have thought about just tape recording them. I mean, in this situation, I wish I could have sat and had earphones on people, and we would have sat and chatted and just had the history of these places. But as I looked around the cabin, I've I've been going there, like I said, since I was 6 months old. Of course, I don't remember that, but I I started being introspective and looking at the changes in my life and that you go through the guest book and you go, holy smokes, the changes that in my personal life that has been going on for the last 57 years. And you read what you wrote and you're going, oh, life is changing. And I think sometimes it's for the good. And of course you always have those memories, but change is I don't know if change is always good, but change is good. Because, our phones have changed our world because we don't have to think as much as we used to. And when I go to that is, you don't have to write a list. You don't have to remember where the quote came in a book if you wanted to, or you just don't have to remember much at all. And because you can always look it up on your phone. Or, in our industry, I have, you know, it used to be that a contractor would have to call up and have a list, and because they were on a landline and they were more organized. These days, they just have a phone, and if they forget something, they just keep on texting, and it sucks because I think there's less organization. And then I look inside myself and I look at the things that have happened in my life that have really changed me. And like I said, I look at divorces because of the uh, guest book. And then I look at and how the relationships that were then affected me, and how going through a divorce changed me. And then I look and I see that I am lucky enough to be married to the woman I am that lets me be me. And that's a pretty tough deal. And then she supports me like she does. And I have to give Cindy kudos for that, because the change is amazing in how I feel about myself. And she's given me a confidence that I don't think I've ever had. So thank you, Cindy, for that. Because to be in a relationship that gives back as much as you give to them. Now, I've always heard, guys talking and it says happy wife, happy life. Well, it is not that. It's happy spouse, happy house, because it takes two, and nobody should ever be favored in a relationship. Nobody. There should be give and take on both sides. So in that change, I see what's good. I see how good life can be in a relationship. And then after Annie and Dave's episode, it just reiterates how good marriage is. And yeah, it's tough at times, but you keep on moving forward and you keep on seeing the good things and the good people in life. The sun always rises and the sun will set, and I when when I see that, I'm just happy that the sun sets in the evening, and I can usually look over and see Cindy, unless she's on an adventure somewhere too. I enjoy her going on adventures, as well as myself. So, and that's a good relationship we have. So thank you, because I see that as a good change. I see my health journey as probably one of the biggest changes. And this journey to better health has made me feel so much better. It's amazing, because I don't think last year, I was telling you I climbed Crow Peak, and I usually did it in my younger days, 20 years ago, I could do it somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes to the top. And now I did it. I thought I'd time myself today because I just thought, you know what? How fast can I get up there? And it was an hour and 5 minutes roughly. Right. I mean, I was dig on close to right on the dot, an hour and 5 minutes. And I know I've lost a step, and I know I can't run anymore as good as I did, but I I'm proud of that. Being 57 and but it's also peaceful. But I kept up a good pace, and I did pass two college age males that were Black Hill State is just starting, and they were climbing, so it makes me feel good that I'm in pretty decent shape. But my health journey has changed me too because I don't I don't eat like I used to, and I don't eat as much as I used to. But I'm not saying that I can't go to Leon's and have ice cream. But this journey, health journey, I'm thinking on the way up is like, damn, I feel good. And all weekend I felt good. And I was explaining to them, like, you know, we've went over this before, but to find a functional doctor in Melissa Aberley and have a great voice or a great person to go to in Ray Jensen, Dr. Ray Jensen, that's that makes me feel good because they've helped me understand that just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to stop. Doesn't mean that your life is over because I feel good. You know, if I would say a year ago, I wouldn't be doing this episode because I would probably have went and done jumped in the creek, or as some people say, creek, and did my ice bath, and I would still felt like crap. But by eating whole foods and by eating more proteins, and yes, I'm I eat I eat elk, I eat deer, I eat beef, I eat pork. I'm not a big bird eater, and I'm not a big fish eater. But I've learned to eat more of this stuff. The meat thing was never a hard thing, of course, but I didn't realize how many how many carbs I was eating too, and it was just like, holy smokes! So, and I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just telling people how I feel. But I'm not stopping eating carbs. I do have bread occasionally. I don't eat it like I used to. I do have ice cream. I do have other things that I enjoy. I don't think you should stop enjoying life. These changes are making you feel good. So keep on living and keep on enjoying the life that you have. That's how I feel. These changes in myself are so good. You know, life life is good and it keeps on inspiring me to be way, way better. So I'm just at that point that I'm excited for the changes that have happened to me, and I kind of try to tell people what's going on, but I will never preach to you to do this stuff if you don't want to. Life is what you make it. But know that the changes in life, the changes that come aren't all bad. They they do things to you that will test you. They do things to you that, you know, might affect your life in the good parts. Sometimes it's the bad. But always take these changes and look at them as a teaching moment. And like I said, not all teaching moments are good. I mean, hopefully they've taught you something good, but not everything, all these changes are bad either. So I just want to go, learn your change, learn, tell me, because this is what I'm going to do. If I do, I'm thinking about doing a Rictastics episode, but I'm going to post this. If you're listening to this, please go on my social media, on Don't Die Rusty's social media, or go on my personal social media if you listen to this. Because I read a deal, and it says, what 5 books and what 5 movies have changed your life? And I thought about this, and I've got to think a little more, because I don't want to just like jump into the deep end and not know how to swim, but I want to think about this, but I want you guys to tell me what 5 movies and what 5 books have changed your life. If any, it doesn't have to be 5, but what do you think changed your life? Because I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to give it to you either on social media, or we will talk about it in a Rictastics episode. So anyway, keep thinking about change, think about life. And of course, I think, my good life is right now. I'm feeling better. The changes I've made in my life, because the changes in health, the changes in a lot of things in my life have helped me become a better Rick. And that has helped my relationship, because I talked about that earlier with Cindy. And by feeling better, I don't feel grouchy. By not being grouchy, I'm not being a bitch to Cindy. And so think about those things too. The changes of feeling better can help your relationship, can help your health, and it also can help your just help your life, of course, and make you say, this is something, I like these changes. So anyway, next week we have a wonderful episode with a wonderful woman. So I will hopefully talk to you later. Keep chasing your dreams, being the best you, and don't die rusty.
Thank you for listening to the Don't Die Rusty podcast with your hosts, Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. The Don't Die Rusty podcast is written and produced by Rick Hanson and Ricky Bruley. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Don't Die Rusty. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You might find your review read on a future episode. Got a question for the Ricks? Send us an email at don'tdierusty@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Don't Die Rusty podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.